You ever have one of those days where you just, you don't have anything particular to do and you jump on one of the forums looking for knives for sale or trade with no particular agenda, no shopping list, and you see something that just jumps off the screen at you? Well, I did. You guys recognize this one? We're going to talk about it. You stick with me, guys. Hi gang, Rob here. It is the afternoon of 15 October 2014 and I have before the TheApostleP camera today a pretty interesting knife. It is a Benchmade Griptillian. Yes, it is. Melpardue design, spear point 154 cm. Just your normal 551 Griptillian, right? Well, not exactly. That handle doesn't look like Noril GTX. In fact, it's not. It's canvas micarta. It is a Wilkins Grip handle, backspacer, and hardware kit installed around the Benchmade liners and blade. This one also sporting the Krein Regrind. Let's see if I can get this lit for you properly. Yeah, Tom Krein, a noted knife reprofiler, main bevel reprofiler, did this one. Doesn't he do a nice job of matching the factory satin with his grind? I think he does. When he does these 551s, he takes the plunge grind way back, almost underneath the handle scales. Yeah, you can see it. It is fully under the handle scales, leaving nothing but beautiful sharp edge all the way to the ricasso, and he grinds them hollow. So what you're left with is a micarta handled Griptillian with this beautiful thinly hollow ground blade. Guys, it's 12 thousandths of an inch behind the edge. Now this one also has a cutting edge by the TheApostleP at 18 degrees all the way to the edge. Didn't see any reason for a secondary and a micro bevel on a blade ground this thin, but that 18 degree edge, let's see if we can get this nice and tight for you. Look how skinny it is, maybe 20 thousandths wide. That tells you we've got super thinness. So we start with a great Benchmade mechanism and a beautiful Melpardue spear point blade, and we chuck the ugly and fat Noril GTX handle. We put a proper micarta handle on it, and in order to overcome some construction issues, an aluminum backspacer, black coated. That gives you facilities for your body screws and your pocket clip screws. They're all threaded into that aluminum. And then you have a knife properly ground for ultimate cutting performance by Tom Krein with an edge by me. How much better of a Griptillian could there be? Well, I guess there are guys that probably can sharpen better than I can, but save that. It's pretty sweet. Let's brush up on our dimensions. Before we get too deeply into this one, we've got a 3 7/16 inch blade, about 115 thousandths thick, a handle length of 4 9/16, giving us a total package just about exactly 8 inches long. Now, on the Wilkins Grip, the handle thickness is right at 1/2 inch. It's a little over 5/8, I think, on a standard Griptillian. So it's a little more pocket friendly than a standard grip. Now let's go over really quickly the construction of this. I think you can see inside you've got those factory Benchmade liners nested perfectly into this canvas micarta handle. And guys, they are located, the milling on these scales is absolute perfection. You don't have to like destroy anything to pry the liners out, but they fit tight. You know, they take a little jiggling and wiggling. And when they're nested into those micarta scales, every screw lines up just as it should. Now, this particular knife has a little bit of a centering issue. I examined the grinds closely, and the blade's just ground a little. Actually, you know, to the right if you're looking at it from the pivot end. It's not bad. It doesn't rub, and since I'm left-handed, my thumb pressure will probably straighten it out a little bit over time. So the milling for the liners, as I said, is beautiful. You do have both alignment / stop pins and retained from the original design. Here's the this is the open stop pin. It's also a locator for the liners. It's shouldered, and then you've got this one inside here that just sort of maintains parallelism between the two liners. The shoulder height on this back pin the same as this front stop pin, so it keeps everything like it should be. You get a nice little free dropping blade with absolutely zero side-to-side play, just like it ought to be. You'll notice though, there's about, that I can tell, the only hardware that's carried over from the original design is the thumb stud, the axis bar, and the female side of the pivot. This body screw is a Wilkins. These two are Wilkins screws. The pocket clip screws, you can see the knurling on the heads. Those are Wilkins, and they're very long. They go, you can see the ends of them. They go all the way through, actually into the micarta on the other side. The pocket clip is factory Benchmade. I just thought it looked better satin than it did beat up black. And this one is a used knife, and the pocket clip did show some wear. This aluminum backspacer, when I first took the knife out of the postal packaging, I thought, I don't love that. Maybe I'll sand it, make it satin to match the blade and the clip and the other hardware, but I haven't done that yet. It is beautifully machined, but you'll notice on this outside curve, if I get the light right, there's some chatter. There you go. It's kind of faceted. I don't know if maybe you did that on purpose. I don't know. It's pretty uniform. Nice crater pattern. Really affords pretty good grip where your fingertips are in a saber grip. I did notice that the liner jimping is a bit more revealed. Don't know if you can see. I think you can see that with these scales than it is on the standard handle. What you don't have though is that sort of really effective jimping in the Norol GTX adjacent to the liners that you have in the stock handle. Don't know that you need it. Oh, I forgot to tell you the weight. The weight on this knife is 4.1 ounces, so a little heavier, maybe just by a tenth or two than a standard Griptillian. But the balance is perfect, and I attribute some of this to that aluminum backspacer, but this is my middle finger here, right dead in the choil, and that knife is perfect. It looks like Dan really engineered this backspacer to give the exact amount of counterweight to the blade, so you've got a knife that is absolute perfection in hand. And let's talk about these ergos for a minute. The saber grip is amazing. I mean, just amazing. I can tell the clip is there, but it's I can't even make it a hot spot no matter how hard I squeeze. The hammer grip is, again, perfect. The knife does not quite come to the web of my hand, but I've got so much good grip with my last two fingers that I can really control where the front of that knife goes. The draw cut grip, again, guys, just like it was made for your hand. No finger guard hot spot in the web. And then the reverse grip, oh man, I just don't know how you get any better. He makes several varieties of these scales. He's even making synthetic materials and full titanium now. They're not cheap. I think the scale backspacer and hardware kit is might be north of 200 bucks, even in micarta. Your mileage may vary, and they do go up for sale used sometimes, but this is not a cheap project. You know, you can have with the Krein Regrind. I didn't buy this knife new. Like I said in the intro, I bought it, I guess, for about half what it would cost new. With the Krein Regrind and the Wilson scale kit, I think you'd have about 300 bucks in this knife. You know, with the original knife that you bought, plus the scale kit, plus the Krein Regrind. You got to be a Benchmade nut, I think, to buy this knife, unless you get like a screaming deal in the used market like I did. And frankly, guys, might be excuse me, might be the best $150 knife purchase I've ever made. 154 cm steel on this blade, by the way. Just standard Benchmade Griptillian. But oh so not. You know, it's like everything that we cry and whine about with the Griptillian. It's one of those knives that we all just sort of wish were better in some ways. Certainly the handle material is one. You know, I've always kind of crowed about how bad this ricasso and plunge grind can be, getting good cutting edge all the way to the back. A lot of guys really don't like the sound the standard Griptillian makes. We sure get rid of that with this micarta handle, don't we? Nice thwack, opening and closing. And then the Griptillian has always been betrayed by its name because it doesn't really have very good grip. And oh, this one does. Just love this knife in hand. Let's see if it cuts with that super skinny edge. It's already been doing some cutting on this paper, it looks like. You hear that silence? Yeah. It is sharp. One neat thing about a blade ground this thin is you're not going to spend much time at the bench sharpening it. There's just not that much material to remove. It's almost got the thinness of a traditional pocket knife. But that 154 cm is so durable, I think it'll hold up well at that thinness. The question is the ultimate Griptillian worth the money? Well, it sure is for what I paid for it. Would I start this project with a new knife and end up north of 300 bucks? Not sure that I would. But you know, I might. It's just so doggone good. Let's see what I feel like after owning it and carrying it for a few months. Let's see if I really fall in love with it or if the novelty wears off. But oh, first impression, I put it right there with the Benchmade 940 and Paramilitary 2, Spyderco Paramilitary 2, and quality and EDC function. this might be the most capable tactical blade of those three. Maybe. Neither of those other two can even think about having an edge that thin. Of course, I imagine you could have Tom regrind those too. But boy, is it cool. Just love the way it comes apart and goes back together. You know, all axis-like knives are a bit of a chore, but this one, just everything fits so perfectly. Just an awesome blade. If you have a chance to buy one of these guys on the used market for, you know, anywhere under 180 bucks, and you're an axis-lock fan, snap it up. I'm happy I did. Hey, grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the Word and my Wilkins grip are sharp.